Hey y'all, thank you so much for clicking on my video, and if you're returning, welcome back to my channel. Today we have two main topics that we have to discuss. First, we have an update from Archewell Foundation, and then secondly, we have to talk about a letter that Prince Harry sent to WellChild. All that and more, so let's get started. Once again, thank you all so much for clicking on my video, and if you're returning, welcome back to my channel, and thank you so much to the members who support the channel through your memberships. I really appreciate it. So today we have two main topics, and then I have a personal revelation for those of you who have been watching this channel for the past 4.5 years. It may come as a shock, and I have been processing. So we will be talking about that at the end, but we have to get to business first. But before we do, if you haven't already, please don't forget to go ahead and like this video, subscribe to the channel, and feel free to share so that more people can find us. All right, so first we're gonna start with the update from archewell.org. Now this came out a couple of days ago, but with Thanksgiving and some of the other stuff we talked about, I wanted to move it to this week so that we could start December off on a very high note. The title of this update is Youth Speak Out on Growing Up Online. Now this is a topic that I've always been very curious about from a Gen Z, Gen Alpha, and beyond perspective, because as an elder millennial, I'm 38 years old, I saw the internet grow from its infancy, or social media grow from its infancy to the monster that it is now. I mean, we helped raise that badass child to the tyrant that it grew up to be. And so we saw it develop, but one of the benefits that came along with growing with social media was we did not have all-in access at very key developmental stages in our lives. We were children at the time where we had very restricted internet access. And even for those of us who didn't have restrictions, there wasn't a whole lot on the internet that could really permeate the brain and really disrupt development in the way that we see social media does now. Also, not every company, not every human being, not every celebrity, not every media outlet had a website. So whereas most people have the tabloids now, which are virtual and in the cloud and also on newsstands and in magazine racks, that was where it was mostly siphoned to in my childhood. If we wanted to know about what Bill Clinton was doing when it came to him not having relations with that woman, we had to know how to read, and we had to know how to read a magazine. Then we had to have access to the magazine. And I don't know about where you're from, but I grew up in North Dallas, Texas, or North Texas in the Dallas area. And most of the places where we shop, the magazines with that kind of stuff on it were not low enough for our eyes to see. And so for my eye line, we were getting Archie comics, we were getting the magazine kind and the small booklet kind. So I have every single Archie comic ever printed, thanks to my mom. But I never saw like the National Enquirer and like Lifestyle and all of those magazines that kind of peddle celebrity gossip. I didn't see those because I couldn't see them unless someone showed them to me. And thankfully, my mom didn't really leave that kind of stuff lying around. It wasn't until I got older and got taller that I was able to kind of start seeing that stuff. And even then, it really didn't interest me because it just felt like adult business. And it felt like adult business about people I didn't care about. I wanted what was animated, and that was at my eye line. And I know that seems like not a big deal, but growing up at 38 now and looking back, that probably saved me a lot of unnecessary overexposure. And so with that said, our tabloids, our salacious gossip and things like that, they weren't all virtual in the 90s. It definitely wasn't in the 80s, but barely there in the early 2000s. You had to kind of follow that kind of stuff. Around the early 2000s, we started getting TV shows that kind of follow, or entertainment news that really followed tabloids and followed paparazzi in that way. And so you had to almost find that programming mostly on E and VH1 if you wanted to kind of get up, or MTV with Kurt Schroeder. We had to know what was going on, and we had to look forward to that stuff and really look forward and seek it out. Now, those things are being advertised to everyone of all ages. And no longer are they at least having the common decency to not advertise on AOL Kids domain or like archiecomics.com and things like that. Now, kids are getting very adult advertisements on their video games like Roblox. And those kinds of things are being downloaded from the cloud. So again, the benefit of being an elder millennial, when we had video games, those things were on a CD-ROM or a disc, and you bought what you got and you got what you bought. There were no updates, and we even had memory cards. So like Now we have grown in some aspects, but you bought what you got and you got what you bought. My mom didn't buy me a CD-ROM of Sims and then have to worry about in the middle of my Sims game getting an in-app purchase option saying, hey, would you like to purchase this new I don't know, Tata tassels or just some other kind of adult, but also animated kids or video game esque feature that might cause me to be overexposed or to ask questions or lead me down a path of curiosity that I wasn't quite ready for or that was provoked out of me. She bought me what she knew I could handle, and that was all I was getting. Like I was playing SOCOM, which is a shooting game, which is kind of advanced, but I was very much a teenager and I was very mature. I knew how to handle real life versus virtual and make believe in fiction. And she didn't have to worry about in the middle of my SOCOM game getting an advertisement for Kim Kardashian's tape, like some people allege happened with Roblox. I don't know how true that is. I heard that is not true, but that was something that was said on or not on on Hulu, and it aired. So I can only assume something in that proximity or in that realm happened to cause that stir. She didn't have to worry about that. Our children today don't have that same luxury that our parents had as far as the overexposure creeping into their life. We mostly had to seek that stuff out. Not that we didn't seek that stuff out, but it wasn't in our face. We didn't go into a situation where it was supposed to be kid safe, and then we get overexposed to very adult and inappropriate things. Even in chat rooms, Kids Domain had monitored and moderated chat rooms. And I've talked about that before. Now anyone can talk to anyone. And one of the things that I noticed about Instagram, which is why I no longer have a creator profile, is because when you have a creator profile, you have several inboxes. No. If I block you from one, I don't want you in any of them. And they had inboxes, they had hidden inboxes, they have disappearing messages. Why in the hell, as an adult, do I need my messages to disappear? If I'm hiding something with my grown self, it's something I have no business doing. And if I have to go through the steps to hide it, then I don't have no business doing it. And I need to check myself on that. I don't have any business hiding my messages with my grown ass. So seeing that Instagram is offering disappearing messages, like what kind of conversation am I having that my grown self can't back up if somebody questions me about it? And if I can't back it up and I have to hide it, I don't need to be doing it. And I need to go reevaluate my lifestyle to match my desires. I need to figure out where the disconnect is happening, because anything that I'm doing as an adult, I should be able to stand by when questioned. I shouldn't have to hide no damn message from anybody with access to my phone. So that was kind of weird. When I saw that, I didn't like that. I also didn't know how I was turning them on and off. So my husband and I, we kind of speak in meme. It's one of our love languages. We speak in meme, and we send each other memes all day. And then all of a sudden I was sending memes and the screen was dark, and it was like the background was dark and I didn't know what to do. I was like, why are my messages looking like this? And he came and he looked at my phone. He's like, I don't know. And we had to keep playing with it. And then we figured it out. They were disappearing because I swiped too hard now. So like, there's way too many ways for people in general, but especially children and adolescents, to operate covertly online, when that is the worst nightmare for a parent. In the same way that my grown self, who works on social media and the internet, who grew up with social media, had to figure out why my messages were doing that. I can't imagine how a parent who works all day outside of the home or in another industry, who is also juggling a household and a marriage and children and hobbies and all the demands that come with adulthood, and now they have to check up on their kids, and they look at their inbox, everything looks copacetic, and they go on about their business, not realizing that. But if you swipe up hard, you'll see more messages. And if you go over to the right a bunch of times, you'll see even more inboxes. It's extremely unfair, and it's strategic, it's intentional, and it's dangerous. So I said all of that to say the landscape for social media and children and the youth and their exposure now is completely different. And it's something that I am always seeking information about, because as someone who watched social media grow up from Zanga and Black Planet and Bebo to what we have now, it's a whole different world. And I saw it happen in real time, and I'm still lost. And that is intentional. The more confused and out of touch we are, the more they get away with. the less things that we can call out. So anyway, I appreciate what Archewell Foundation is doing by bringing this information forward, but something that I am very curious about, and I hope we get more info from this article that I've rambled on about, is how do Gen Z and Gen Alpha and beyond, how are they experiencing the internet? I can only imagine how overwhelming it must be. Now in its third year, the Archewell Foundation's Insight Sessions continue to surface urgent truths about what it means to grow up in the digital age. This year, we spoke with 106 young people aged 10 to 25 across Australia, Canada, Panama, the United Kingdom, and the United States. Their words, sometimes hopeful, often conflicted, always honest, reveal a generation navigating unprecedented complexity. The paradox of digital life. 3 out of 4 young people told us technology plays a positive role in their lives. Growing up in the digital age has its advantages, explained a Canadian participant. Whether it's socializing with friends, academics, or work, technology has made my life more efficient in so many ways. Yet, when asked to describe that same digital experience, they reached for words like overwhelming, confusing, and overstimulating. One American young person captured it perfectly. There's so much stuff that's being pushed on you that you don't know what's true and what's not. We live in a landscape where we have to second guess everything constantly. This isn't a generation asking to abandon technology. Instead, they're asking leaders to recognize how difficult it is to manage life in this environment and to provide tools and guidance that help them not only cope, but shape digital spaces into something healthier and safer. Redefining leadership. When asked about leadership in the digital age, responses revealed a troubling vacuum. Young people initially named tech giants and high-profile figures, reactions that were largely negative. But when asked to identify leaders of their own generation, many struggled. Across every geography, young people distinguished between influencers and true leaders. Influencers, they explained, are performative, inauthentic, and profit motivated. Real leadership requires authenticity, commitment to causes over profit, and tangible impact beyond follower counts. That is very true. But also, this kind of brings me to some of the things that y'all have heard me gripe about a bunch, is calling Meghan an influencer. It drives me insane. I'm sure she doesn't care. I'm sure she recognizes that it's just kind of a plug and play word. A lot of people use it as a catch-all to mean an influential person, but it is absolutely not that thing. And I think it sticks out to me simply because I work in the digital space. So it means something to me and it has its own connotations. Some negative, some positive, but it's whether it's negative or positive isn't really the issue. It's just simply not true. Meghan is not an influencer. She is influential. She is a public figure, a celebrity, a philanthropist, an actress. She has a lot of hats, and that is what built her platform to enhance her influence. But that doesn't make her an influencer. And so I love that they distinguish that here, not for that purpose, but it brings me back to that same conversation that I was having before about calling people what they are not and making sure that we get titles correct. No pun intended. Making sure we get titles correct. Because although she is influential and she does influence people, her job is not that of an influencer. In the same way that sometimes people have called me an influencer, and absolutely not. If I buy a shirt, maybe one or two of you might buy it because you might have the same style as me, but you're not going to go out and buy a shirt because I wore it. I'm not influential in that way. I'm a content creator, meaning you find me, and if you resonate with what I'm saying or what I'm discussing, then we vibe and we work together. It's kind of like meeting out in the street, except through a computer screen. I'm a content creator. You're either here if you like it, not if you don't, etc. But I'm not influencing you to do anything you weren't already going to do. It's whether or not you're already aligned with the interests and the topics at hand. So I'm not influencing you. I'm creating content, and you're here to discuss said content. So anyway, I only point that out because influencers do kind of get a bad rap. Some of them are great. Some of them are really great, actually. I really like some influencers like Jackie Aina. She's probably my favorite influencer. There's a few others like Alyssa Forever. I love those kinds of influencers that kind of just show me, here's what I'm doing in my regular life, and this is what I found, and it works great. And I like that kind of stuff, but I don't really like the salesmen, like the pitch oriented influencers, or the ones that do the dramatic stuff. Like when you scroll up on TikTok and the first thing they do is start screaming at you. Oh my God, it makes me crazy. And they go, "You've got to get this vacuum cleaner. It also changes a light bulb." And it makes me crazy. It overstimulates the hell out of me, probably because I have anxiety. But it's also the same thing that I don't like about some influencers, and that approach is the same thing I dislike about salespeople. A good salesperson is just going to align me with something that makes sense for the problem that I have or the thing that I'm interested in. And they're going to offer me the upsides, maybe warn me about the downsides, maybe not. They're going to make their money and they're going to go on about their business. A bad salesperson is going to roll out all the tactics and put on a show. And I'm going to walk away and go find the person with some sense who's willing to just tell me what I'm looking for, point me in that direction, and get the commission. And so I'm not a big performative person. And so it feels inauthentic in the same way that they're describing, except now, if you're not looking for a salesperson in my world, if I'm not looking for a salesperson to be sold on anything, I can buy it online, or I have to go to a store or a location to seek out salespeople. The problem with influencers is that they're everywhere. So I could just be looking for a good story time on TikTok, something to do, something to listen to while I'm doing my hair. And then I'm being sold this stuff back to back to back. And it can be overwhelming. So yeah, I get the negative connotation with influencers. I get that they do a good job. For the ones that do it the way that I enjoy, they do a great job. For the ones who are pushing, and they're almost manic about it, I just wish they would never find me. And that's really what I dislike about it. And they give the rest of them a really bad name. But just so that we're clear, if any influencers follow me, love you, good job, you're doing a great job, keep it up. A good influencer doesn't have to push. You being influential and being an influencer is what influences people. So I would focus more on being authentic to whatever your brand or your niche is. And the things that you push, they'll push themselves because they're on your content or in your content and on your platform. No need to push or scream at me. Perhaps most telling, trust often runs strongest offline. Young people consistently told us they turned to parents, educators, and community leaders for advice on important matters. Whenever I'm saying someone wise once said, it's never someone I watched online. It's always someone I had a conversation with in person. This is good information, but what I will say is regardless of the medium by which you receive that information, it is imperative that you vet it regardless. Whether it's a book, the internet, a seminar, a one-on-one conversation, vet the information, vet the source. Now, at some point, we will have support in that area with the efforts of Archewell Foundation and everyone else who participates in online safety, the online safety initiative. At some point, legislation will back us up as far as vetting information and content creators. And then we'll also have third-party regulators at some point to hold these content creators and these platforms accountable, and these platforms will also vet. At some point, we will have several tiers of vetting before we receive information in mass, especially. But we're not there yet. And even when we get there, it is imperative that we all do our part and we own our own responsibility, personal responsibility, and vet our information and vet the source. For example, Dr. Gabor Mate, Eckhart Tolle, Oprah Winfrey, Neville Goddard, Alan Watts, Abraham Hicks, all of these people or entities, as far as Abraham Hicks, all of these sources offer incredible industry-leading and expert advice and information. But they all also operate on the internet, or their content is available on the internet. It doesn't make their information any less valid. It doesn't make their expertise any less valid. But we also have people, like in my own life, at our wedding, my husband and I had suggestions and advice for the bride and groom. And some of the information we got from one-on-one information from people we love and know and who love us was horrible. It's horrible advice. So whether you know the person or not, whether the person is holding a seminar or giving you a book or writing about you in a journal, whatever, vet the information no matter the medium. That's imperative because the internet has excellent information. It has a lot of sources that are valid and that offer very good information. But we have to seek that out, and no matter what, we still have to vet it. Even industry-leading experts share information that may not always be correct, or it may not always be timely. As we know, scientific research it's always ongoing and it's necessary. So what we might be learning today in a textbook might not be so valid in 10 years, which is why medical and healthcare fields or jobs in the healthcare and medical field are always in training and always in learning mode, because it is not always going to be the end all be all information that you received when you got your degree. You have to always be learning and building because things change. So always vet your information, always vet your sources, no matter what, internet or not. Growing up with AI AI has become non-negotiable in young people's lives. Nearly half identify personalized learning as AI's most positive use, praising its ability to act as a free, accessible tutor. That's good information, but I would be very mindful of tutoring with AI. I might use AI for some. I don't use AI. I don't know, but I mean, I'm sure it has its uses for convenience. But if you need a tutor, get a tutor. But overdependence emerged as their top concern. Older participants expressed relief that they developed critical thinking skills before AI arrived, and worrying younger generations won't have that foundation. I agree. A number of people in some of my classes have been caught using AI to answer discussion questions and to write their essays for them. And something that doesn't make sense to me is, especially being that I'm in college, why are you paying to not be educated? I get the convenience, and college is hard. And I get some people are working while in college. I get it. I get it. I get it. But you're still paying for it for a reason, to become educated. You want to learn this information. You want to absorb this information, and it's right there. You're paying for it. So why are you paying to not learn it? AI may be convenient, but you're only doing yourself a disservice. Cheating, and that is very much what it is, cheating only harms you. I don't understand that. And I have seen a number of discussion questions where people forgot to erase the prompt. Like, now at my school, I go to UTA, there are a couple of professors who use something that detects AI responses, and it finds a way to seek AI responses, etc. And they're always scanning it. And it's kind of the same thing through, like, they do our essays to make sure that there's no plagiarism, something like that. But I feel like that's one of those things that's like, people shouldn't force you to get the education you are paying thousands, for some people hundreds of thousands of dollars, to obtain. The least you can walk away with is the information in the textbook that you paid $200 for. I mean, I would just say. Anyway, manipulated content ranked as their second greatest fear. Young women describe deepfakes as terrifying and the scariest thing ever. The rise of AI-generated misinformation threatens to corrode trust in news, politics, and public life at a moment when these young people are already exhausted from constantly questioning what's real. I have no notes on that. 100%. The social media struggle. Young people describe social media with both connection and toxic in the same breath. They're trying to disconnect and failing. I honestly think life would be a lot simpler without specific social media, explained a Canadian participant. Despite knowing these platforms are designed to be addictive, young people mostly blame themselves for lack of willpower. They set time limits, download accountability apps, delete platforms entirely, but these tactics rarely last. They want to leave, but keep returning because social media remains essential for staying connected. Yeah, I can see that. Here's what they're asking for. At the end of each session, participants wrote letters to tech leaders. Their demands were clear: prioritize user safety over profit, design for inclusivity, implement strong regulations, empower users with control and education, and most importantly, listen to young people and act on their insights. As one Panamanian participant concluded, young people trust you to create safer environments online, and we are committed to using these tools in a healthy way. The solutions are within reach, especially when we recognize that young people aren't the problem to be solved. They're essential partners in building the digital world we all deserve. The Archewell Foundation thanks all of the partners and organizations that made this report possible. To read this year's Insight Report, click here, and I am going to offer this whole post and this link as well in the description box below under sources if you want to dissect it yourself. I highly recommend. It has a lot of valuable information. Either way, these insight sessions are definitely rendering a lot of useful information, and I absolutely love that Harry and Meghan, the Archewell Foundation, are using their incredible platform with as many people they have access to in these industries to share this information to create change. We absolutely all benefit when the most vulnerable in society benefits from things like this. We have to protect everyone. And when children are not protected, hell, there's no hope for the rest of us. So anyway, I love that they are having these insight sessions with the youth, especially because they are the dominant demographic on social media. So I love that they are having these conversations, but I also love that in a weird kind of sadistic way, I love that the online safety conversation and the dangers that have prompted that conversation and that initiative as a whole, I love that that is in some way empowering the youth to stand up for themselves and their own intellectual safety and their mental health as well. I love that they are recognizing the problem and doing something about it. So let's see what they can get done. They have my support 100% of the way. Legislation needs to absolutely take it from here. Platforms need to absolutely take responsibility, and we all need to have all of their back, and they have all of our support. Anyway, what do you guys think about this? This is an incredible initiative, and I love to see this next installment. Looking forward to whatever comes next from this. Y'all let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. For our next topic, we have to discuss WellChild's recent Instagram post about Prince Harry's letter as a patron. The caption reads, "Our latest impact report is out today, including a letter from our patron, Prince Harry, Duke of Sussex, reflecting on the incredible strength of the WellChild community." So it says, "Letter from our patron. Each year, as patron of WellChild, I'm humbled by the extraordinary spirit of the WellChild community. While the challenges facing families caring for children with complex medical needs have not lessened, the strength and resilience of those families and the charity that supports them remain steadfast. In the face of immense pressure on health and social care services, WellChild continues to provide a lifeline, advocating, innovating, and ensuring that seriously ill children can be safely cared for at home and in their communities wherever possible. One of the greatest privileges of my role is meeting the remarkable winners of the WellChild Awards. In 2024, it was my great pleasure to join the celebrations in person once again, a moment in my calendar that never fails to bring me so much enjoyment. Hearing the stories of these children, their families, and the professionals who support them is a reminder of what matters most: community, connection, and compassion. I am especially proud of the continued growth of WellChild's Family Tree peer-to-peer support network. It is heartening to see more families joining this vital community, which now stretches right across the UK. In a world that often feels isolating for those caring for children with complex medical needs, the Family Tree offers friendship, advice, and a reminder that no one has to face these challenges alone. Times remain difficult, and there is still enormous strain on families and the charities that support them. Yet through it all, WellChild has not faltered in its commitment. The team has expanded its reach, diversified its programs to help more families, and continued to provide critical information and services to those who need them most. To everyone who has played a part in making this possible, the brilliant staff, the board of trustees, the WellChild nurses, the supporters, the volunteers, the families, thank you. Your part in our story changes lives every day, and I am honored to stand beside you in this mission. Prince Harry, Duke of Sussex, WellChild patron." I thought that was a very, very sweet letter. Of course, now that we have read it out loud, I've already liked it. Don't forget to follow WellChild if you have an Instagram account, and please don't forget to comment on posts like these. I love to make sure that I don't want to say bomb, but post and engage whenever we see positive Harry and Meghan posts, because it tells the algorithm of those platforms that we want to see more positive coverage and more honest and unbiased coverage of Harry and Meghan. So anyway, what did you guys think of this letter? Have you guys had an opportunity to check out the WellChild Impact Report? And if that's something you want me to go through, feel free to let me know. Thank you so much for watching the SharionSade YouTube channel. I appreciate you watching my content. If you haven't already, please don't forget to go ahead and like this video by hitting the thumbs up. Please don't forget to subscribe by hitting the subscribe button. And don't forget to comment along the way. If you feel so inclined, please don't forget to share so that more people can find us. Once again, thank you so much for watching. Now let's get back to the video. So for those of you who celebrated Thanksgiving, I hope you had an amazing holiday. I hope you got some really good food and got to spend time with family. But more importantly, I hope you got some much needed rest. It has been a very long year, and I hope you got a chance to power down, enjoy some good food, and watch some good TV and spend some time with family. I definitely did. I had an amazing break. I ate really good, too good, because I was back in the gym hard this morning. I was like, girl, now you know you were cutting up. But it was worth it. But anyway, so I found out from my hairstylist, this is the personal revelation that I had to tell y'all. For those of you who've been following me for a while, you'll know why this is so important. My hairstylist told me that I have a significant amount of hair breakage, as you can see kind of some of it, but hair breakage in the crown of my head. And I think y'all know why. I don't think I have to say it. Buns. Too many buns. Now, you'll know I find personal gratification from a big, juicy bun at the top of my head. So, finding out that I was going to have to stop wearing buns for a while, or at least change where they are, which made me feel completely off balance, it was a little heartbreak. So, for people who've been like, Sharion, I haven't seen you wear a bun in a long time, that's why. And so I said, let me make sure they know, because at this point, I kind of feel like the bun is a character on this channel. Like, I love a good big fat juicy bun, especially when my hair is curly. I love a curly bun. But that's gonna have to change soon. If you guys have been through this before, please let me know. How did you cope? Because there is nothing more convenient for me than doing a good old flip over bun, a bobby in the pin, or a bobby pin in the bun, and going about my life. But now I actually have to put effort. Anyway, that's why you haven't seen the big fat bun in a long time. Hopefully she can return whenever I grow my hair out, and I'll try to do buns with care moving forward. But yeah, I caused a lot of breakage, so that's a no-no. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Don't forget, the day after tomorrow, we get With Love Meghan holiday celebration. Yes, I will be recapping that. On Friday, we will be continuing part 3 of Virginia Giuffre's Nobody's Girl recap on the member side. And of course, this is an edited recap where I take out the difficult details without omitting things that are necessary for the story. But I always highly recommend that if you want those details, to read the book yourself, so that you can have the full picture. But I don't know that everybody should have access to those details if it's going to cause some kind of turmoil. And it is difficult. I had to take a break. It was difficult to read some of those details. So anyway, I'm trying to make my recaps listener safe, so that you get the story, you get the information, but some of the details that enhance the story, but maybe not necessary for everyone to know, I'm taking those parts out. So for those of you who've been keeping up or following along with that recap, those conversations have been very insightful and informative. So I appreciate your participation. But those will continue on Friday. So that's all I have for y'all. I hope you enjoyed today's video. If you haven't already, please don't forget to go ahead and like, subscribe, and share. For my Patreon members, thank you so much for being a Patreon member and supporting my media communications life through Patreon. You will be getting another new video this week. And then for my members, thank you for supporting the channel. You will be getting a new exclusive video this week as well. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see y'all next time. Bye.